The creation of the Infinity Stones. Long before Hogwarts had noseless Dark Lords turning to ash in its hallways, the universe itself created 6 objects so powerful they make Horcruxes look like party tricks. The Infinity Stones. Born from the singularity that became the Big Bang, each stone embodies a fundamental rule of existence: time, space, mind, soul, power, and reality itself. Now, here's the wizarding world twist nobody writes about in textbooks. Ancient magical scholars didn't just miss the Infinity Stones, they studied their after effects, residual cosmic energy, fragments, echoes, and one alchemist figured out something terrifyingly brilliant: Nicholas Flamel. The Philosopher's Stone was not created instead of the Infinity Stones, it was created because of them. Flamel never had access to a stone directly, even goblins aren't that reckless. But the existence of 6 perfect, self-sustaining cosmic sources gave him the theoretical foundation for ultimate alchemy. If reality could be stabilized by 6 forces, then life itself could be extended by one balanced construct. That's why the Philosopher's Stone grants immortality without madness, gold without corruption, and power without reality collapse. It's Infinity Stone magic, translated into wizard's safe form. When Unspeakables finally connected these dots centuries later, they quietly reclassified Flamel from genius alchemist to man who reverse-engineered the universe. The Battle of New York. Let's set the scene. A floating blue portal opens above New York City. Out walks Loki. Imagine if Bellatrix Lestrange had Thor's sibling issues, a god complex, and a staff powered by a cosmic mind control rock. He is chaos in a leather coat, powered by jealousy and poor emotional regulation. Behind him come the Chitauri, think Dementors, but loud, armored, flying, and allergic to subtlety. An invading hive mind army whose entire personality is, we were told to conquer this. Enter the Avengers, basically the Order of the Phoenix if they were louder, messier, and included a billionaire in a metal suit, a rage monster, and a man whose only power is refuse to die politely. Now, imagine being the wizard world watching this unfold. In 2012, Hogwarts is quiet. Harry's war is over. Voldemort is dead. The magical world is rebuilding, teaching kids how not to become Dark Lords. Then, New York explodes. The statute of secrecy doesn't bend. It snaps for 6 glorious, horrifying hours. Obliviators stare at live news feeds like, so, we're not fixing this? Here's the irony. This battle saves wizard kind. After New York, Muggles finally have an explanation for the impossible. Flying things, aliens, energy blasts, aliens, a giant snake and plumbing? Okay, still probably Hogwarts. The Ministry adapts fast. New policy: never correct Muggles when they blame space. Loki tried to rule Earth. He accidentally became the wizarding world's greatest distraction. The Sokovia disaster. Okay, Ultron is a Muggle-created artificial intelligence designed to protect Earth. Think if the Ministry asked a cursed book to enforce peace, and the book decided humanity was the problem. Ultron reaches one logical conclusion: wipe out civilization to save the planet. His solution? Sokovia. Ultron lifts an entire city into the sky using repulsor technology and anti-gravity engines, planning to drop it like a meteor to cause a global extinction event. No spell circles, no wands, just math, metal, and rage. The wizarding world panics, because floating cities are not theoretical in magic history. Ancient wizards experimented with levitation enchantments on massive structures. Most failed catastrophically. Hogwarts itself is layered with counter-gravity charms to prevent collapse. What terrifies Unspeakables isn't the destruction, it's the method. Ultron achieves something wizards know requires god-tier magic, using technology. This means gravity, one of the most protected magical constants, is now being casually violated by Muggles. Wizarding fallout, magical communities across Eastern Europe evacuate instantly. Ancient wards tied to the land destabilize. The Department of Mysteries classifies Sokovia as a red-level reality breach. Here's the chilling truth. If Sokovia had hit the ground, the shockwave would have collapsed hidden magical structures worldwide. Ultron didn't just threaten Earth, he proved Muggles were learning how to break the rules magic once monopolized. The Scarlet Witch awakens. To understand why the wizarding world panicked over Wanda Maximoff, you first need to understand what she is not. She is not trained. She is not educated in magic. She does not follow rules. Wanda begins as a normal Muggle, but exposure to an Infinity Stone unlocks something something catastrophic. She doesn't learn power, it erupts. To wizards, she looks like a terrifying blend of Voldemort's raw ambition, Bellatrix's emotional volatility, and Seamus Finnegan's explosive tendencies, except scaled to reality itself. She influences minds without legilimency. She alters probability without charms. She reshapes environments without transfiguration theory. That alone is a nightmare. But the real impact comes next. The Ministry flags her awakening as a non-wizard reality event, the highest threat classification. There is no wand work to trace, no spellbook to counter, no magical signature to monitor. Worse still, her power responds to grief. The Department of Mysteries begins long-range observation, not to fight her, but to learn. New protections quietly appear across the wizarding world, emotion buffering wards to prevent grief-triggered surges, reinforced mental shields inspired by her mind control, emergency reality anchoring charms to stabilize distorted spaces. Hogwarts even adjusts post-war teaching, emphasizing emotional regulation as a survival skill, not a courtesy. Then Unspeakables notice something chilling. When Wanda bonds with Vision, an artificial being powered by logic, balance, and an infinity stone of his own, her power stabilizes. Final conclusion? Emotion isn't a weakness in magic, it's the amplifier, and the wizarding world is no longer sure it owns the most dangerous kind. The snap, the blip. Quick Marvel context. Thanos is a cosmic extremist with a god complex and catastrophic math. Think Voldemort, but bigger, bluer, and somehow with a nose. He believes the universe has too much life, so he hunts the 6 Infinity Stones. Each controls a rule of existence. Together they grant absolute control over reality itself. Delete life, rewrite fate. No wand required. Some say he was under the influence of death itself, hungry for souls in the name of balance. So, long story short, Thanos finds all 6 stones, and with a single snap deletes half of all life in the universe. No targeting, no mercy, just poof. To Muggles, it's the blip. To the wizarding world, it's a full system crash. Magic understands death, souls pass on, ghosts linger, portraits talk. The snap does none of that. Witches and wizards vanish mid-apparition, mid-duel, mid-herbology lesson, Sirius Black style, gone without leaving a mark. Then the alarms hit. The Ministry detects a massive surge of death energy around the veil in the Department of Mysteries. Radiation levels off the charts. At first, officials panic and suspect the veil caused a catastrophic release, but the pattern is global, random, untraceable by magic. Enter the cross-world intel. Through Wakandan scientific channels and unspeakable analysis, the truth lands. This wasn't magic. This was cosmic authority overriding reality. Thanos. Immediate chaos. Hogwarts loses students and professors. Magical creatures vanish. Unicorns, house elves, phoenixes. The Ministry and Makuza lose leadership overnight. And the whispered nightmare theory. Nicholas Flamel vanished in the snap, while Perenelle, his wife, survived. With Nicholas gone, the Philosopher's Stone becomes unreachable, which means her immortality quietly ends, and she begins aging again like any normal witch. Keep this in mind. We'll come back to what happens next in later chapters. The discovery of Wakanda. For centuries, the wizarding world believed it had mastered secrecy, hidden streets, invisible castles, entire schools protected by enchantment so good even Google Maps gave up. Then the world discovers Wakanda, a hyper-advanced civilization hidden in plain sight behind cloaking fields, perception filters, and energy shields, all powered by Vibranum. No spells, no wands, no Latin, just science doing magic's job better than magic. Wizards are deeply offended, because here's the awkward truth. African wizarding communities have known about Wakanda for centuries, without the Ministry's knowledge. Quiet collaborations, conceptual guidance, not spells, but principles, layered concealment, perception manipulation, reality misdirection. The same ideas behind Hogwarts protections, but engineered instead of enchanted. Think Hogwarts but with Wi-Fi. Like really good Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi 7. When Wakanda reveals itself to the Muggle world, the Ministry panics, not because Wakanda is hostile, but because it worked. If Muggles can hide an entire nation without magic, how many other cities, villages, or civilizations are out there? Magical? Technological? Something in between? The creation of Jarvis. Meet Tony Stark, billionaire, engineer, weapons designer turned superhero, and the kind of mind that treats impossible problems like hobbies. Stark doesn't use magic, he builds solutions, and his most dangerous one is Jarvis. Jarvis is an AI that monitors global data, predicts outcomes, and responds in real time. Think a pensive, a marauder's map, and a seer merged into one system that never sleeps and never forgets. To the wizarding world, this is a privacy apocalypse. Bigger than cameras, bigger than the internet, bigger than satellites. Jarvis doesn't just see, he connects dots. Disappearances without residue. Energy spikes with no physical cause. Places that refuse to map. Structures that scramble perception. Patterns that don't obey Muggle physics. Through Jarvis's analysis, Tony Stark directly discovers the wizarding world, a hidden global population operating under different physical rules. Strategically, he keeps it secret. No public exposure, no press. Knowledge is leverage. What follows is simple. Stark makes contact and negotiates in silence. Here's the bombshell Unspeakables whisper about. Stark acquires time turners. Officially, the Ministry claims they were all destroyed after the Department of Mysteries incident. Unofficially, that story is a lie, crafted to avoid suspicion and hide the fact that every remaining time turner was quietly sold. Why did Stark want them? To engineer time navigation. Years later, that framework helped challenge Thanos by traveling the past to undo the blip. We'll come back to that. The TVA and the sacred timeline. To understand this disaster, you need to understand Loki first. Loki is a god of mischief, lies, and magical shortcuts. Basically, if a Slytherin prefect discovered cosmic-level illusion magic and zero accountability. In 2012, during the Battle of New York, Loki escapes using the Tesseract and immediately breaks reality. That's when he's arrested by the Time Variance Authority. The TVA exists outside time. Their job is simple and terrifying. Maintain one sacred timeline by erasing every timeline that deviates too far. Not fixing, not correcting, deleting. To the wizarding world, this lands like a curse, because wizarding time magic is built on intervention. Time turners allow small corrections. Prophecies allow outcomes to change. Choice still matters. The TVA proves that somewhere above all of that, someone already decided which choices are allowed to exist. Unspeakables quickly realize the implications. Those near-miss timelines, Dark Lords who almost won, futures where Harry never survived. They weren't prevented, they were pruned, which suddenly explains something very uncomfortable. Maybe this is why Expelliarmus keeps beating Avada Kedavra. Maybe Harry was never allowed to lose. Maybe the timeline itself demanded his victory. Honestly, he could have yelled Wingardium Leviosa and still won. Classic Potter. This reframes wizarding history completely. Voldemort wasn't just defeated, he was defeated in the approved timeline. The Multiverse War. This begins with Doctor Strange, a former surgeon turned guardian of reality. Unlike Hogwarts-style magic, Strange manipulates time, space, and probability directly, using artifacts and spells that bend rules instead of respecting them, and eventually these rules snap. Through repeated misuse of time manipulation, forbidden spells, and cosmic interference, the multiverse opens. Not metaphorically, literally. Alternate realities bleed into each other. Different timelines, different outcomes, different versions of the same people. To Marvel, this escalates into the multiverse war. Universes colliding, realities collapsing, infinite versions fighting to survive. To the wizarding world, an existential nightmare. Wizard magic is built on one assumption, one reality, one timeline, one prophecy that matters. The moment multiple realities exist, prophecy collapses, divination breaks, the hall of prophecy goes eerily silent. Then the sightings begin. Alternate witches and wizards appear, and it's absolute chaos. Voldemort shows up with a nose. Draco Malfoy is a Gryffindor. The Malfoys are poor while the Weasleys are rich. Hermione Granger wears green and silver. Neville Longbottom is the chosen one, and Dumbledore comes back as a woman. Every unhinged Potter theory suddenly becomes real, all at once. Spells behave differently by universe. Avada Kedavra brings people back to life. Love potions cause existential dread, and healing charms do actual damage. Hogwarts reacts too. Staircases misroute. Rooms appear wrong. The castle behaving like it knows reality itself is unstable. At that moment, the wizarding world understands something terrifying. Reality isn't breaking, it's branching, and magic is no longer the thing deciding which versions survives. The blip reversal. Remember what we mentioned earlier. Tony Stark secretly acquired the last time turners to engineer a time navigation system. That that machine becomes the backbone of the plan to undo Thanos. 5 years after the snap, it works. The Avengers travel through time, reclaim the Infinity Stones, and reverse the blip. Half of all life returns instantly, alive, unchanged, and utterly disoriented. For the wizarding world, this is not relief, it's whiplash. Witches and wizards reappear mid-ward, mid-vow, mid-grief. Hogwarts classrooms refill with students who technically graduated years ago. Inheritances unravel, marriages collapse. Ministry departments must reinstate people who replaced people who are now back. The veil in the Department of Mysteries surges violently, not with death, but return energy. Souls snapping back into reality like elastic bands. And then comes the quiet tragedy. Nicholas Flamel returns, but Perenelle does not. During the 5 years without the Philosopher's Stone, she aged like any normal witch and died before the reversal. Nicholas comes back immortal once more to a world where his wife is gone forever. The Ministry erases records, closes files, pretends this was managed, but the damage is done. And if you think Marvel broke the wizarding world, wait until you see all 11 major Muggle events that affected the wizarding world. The Titanic, Atlantis, the moon landing, and more. Click now and watch Dobby land on the moon.